Welcome to the Parent Guide to GCSE.com podcast. This is episode number 5. We are joined by 6 students who are now studying their A-levels, but they're here today to talk about their top tips for GCSE exam success. So first question, essentially, what was your favourite revision technique, or most effective revision technique, do you think? Anyone jump in? I'm not just going to go down the line, just...
Flashcards were mine, because if you have a supportive family, and I had a younger sister as well, she was only in the year below, so she was doing like the first year of the course, so it helped her as well to do flashcards, and then speaking it out loud helped me more than just writing it down. Okay,
so with the flashcards, did you make those from your class notes, or did you do those entirely independent of class notes?
Oh, with my class notes and the revision textbooks as well.
Okay, so once you got the flashcards prepared, was it just to get somebody to test you, or was it just recreate them and then, so you would have a flashcard which you could then turn over and make it again almost, or was it literally just give it to somebody else?
All of mine was verbal. That's how it helped me. Saying it out loud gets it in my head, whereas if I was just writing it down, it didn't.
Okay, good, thank you.
I just wrote notes for most of my subjects, and kind of depending on each subject. So for maths, I just used to do as many past papers as I could. Whereas for science, I used to do more like notes. I used to have like a revision guide, and I used to do a specific chapter, and I used to write small notes on it. Okay.
So once you create the notes, is that it, or you keep going back to it time after time, or?
I usually wrote them, and then I used to go back if I couldn't remember them. But yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
For me as a history student, timelines helped quite a lot because just by writing it down, the dates would stick in my head, and then if you like put it in a place where you see, like on your wall or something, you can always see the dates, and it keeps reminding you of what events happened on which dates. But for subjects which weren't history, I used like mind maps because it just helped me get out all the information that we were given in class into an order that I preferred.
I love mind maps. Did you learn how to create them properly, or was it more of a flashcard type thing with a central theme and just lots of information, or was it a proper branched mind map?
It was, for most subjects, it was like a proper branched mind map because, especially for science, we were told how to like do them properly because we had to split things into themes and like different categories. So I found it more helpful if I used like pictures and colour as well to identify each theme.
Okay, thank you.
I would say watching like certain YouTube videos also really helped me during GCSE. Like during English, like it was really hard for me to like understand some of the texts, like especially the poems. But there was a YouTuber called Mr. Bruff. I know he's a bit like, a bit of like a joke, but like he was actually really good. It really helped me like with the understanding of the poems. Like he just broke them down like the whole of it, and I'd just be like annotating my anthology as I went along. And yeah, I mean there was like some like science and maths videos, but I didn't use them as much. But there's still loads of them out there you can find anything on anything, so it's really helpful, I think.
You can't see this because obviously you're just listening, but around the table we've got people like, yes, Mr. Bruff, it was brilliant. That's why we recommend him, because we know it works.
And free science lessons.
Yeah.
The science, so good.
What was that, sorry?
Free science lessons is the YouTube name.
Okay.
And he literally breaks it down, every single topic, triple and combined.
There was a maths one as well, I can't remember their name.
Maths Genie.
Maths
Genie.
Genie.
Maths Genie, and I think it's slightly helpful for A-level as well. The only thing is they obviously are on the old spec, so instead of having the full A-level, they do it on, I think, like chapters, so like you have C1, C2 and so on.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure we round all these up and put them in the show notes for people, so that's really helpful, thank you.
And I've not heard those sites, so and really helpful, thank you. Okay, should we go to...
So can you remember, like, GCSE year, when did you start revising properly? When did it become not just, I'm kind of doing my homework, my teacher said I ought to do a bit of revision, when did it become a proper, like, I'm going to start revising now?
February. After February half. I know, I'm sorry. Like, when as in, like, I was revising, working the whole year. And we had so many mocks, so
True.
like we had to revise anyway. So I didn't not ever revise. Like I did hardcore revision for all of my mocks.
It's worth saying at this point that Alita, I think we can use names, can't
I
we?
think
Fair
we
to
can
say.
use these.
She got amazing results. So the fact that you started in February means you could have got even more amazing results if you'd have.
Guilt trip, poor girl. It's too late.
I mean,
But you
I'm
apologise, so
saying-
you know that you should have done something. You should have done it differently.
sure. I don't know. I just feel like with A levels it's so different. Like you have to start now, but with GCSEs, I have like quite a good memory, and I feel like with GCSEs you just had to memorise things, whereas A levels it's all about actually you have to know it.
Yeah,
Understand.
I'm totally different. I can't remember anything. Like I'm a bit like Dory from Nemo. I remember I lose my memory a lot. So like when I had to do like homework, I had to see if I struggled with it a lot because then I wrote it down. So I used to have tabs on my books. So if I didn't understand it, I think it was like red, and then I did orange and then green. So then it just helped me. So when I finally understood it, I could just change it to a green, and that's what helped me with like my maths, because I could just go through my maths book and then go over it. And I think like with people who do struggle like with memory, you need to find your own kind of way, even if it's not like a normal way to revise, because I think I struggled with that a lot, because I tried to use flashcards, but then I'll probably get it right 1 minute and then I'll totally forget it the next minute. And then
Sorry, we've all lost the plot because Paula's just got up to get himself a slice of cake.
Very quietly.
And I try to do like what everyone kind of suggested, like with mind maps and everything, but it kind of just changes with the subject that you do, because it's how you remember it, it's how it's weird, because again, like what Alita said, I had a supportive like mum, so she always used to come up to my room like, do you need any help? And I was like, yeah, sure, you can help me with this. But then I'll remember it 1 minute and then I'll just forget it the next. So I think that's something that people will struggle with as well.
So February half term.
I think it was somewhere after Easter. I can't really remember. I know I'm kind of the black sheep of the group. I'm the one that started really late, and I still somehow managed to get good grades, and I don't know how. But I think the thing is like Alita said, the revision was kind of ongoing, but it never was as serious as it got after like Easter time. Because before that, it was like I still have time. It's still a couple of months till my exam. But then you get to Easter and you realize, oh wait, it's actually in a couple of in a month, or maybe like 3-4 weeks. So like you after that you only start to realize that it's actually important, and that you need to start revising.
Yeah.
For me, it was sorry.
No, you go.
It was after November mocks, because I feel like that's when you really find out how you're doing and like what you need to really improve on, because it's like the second last set of mocks you do in year 11, and so that's when it like really hit me, like, oh, I need to work harder and like actually proper knuckle down and do all the revision.
Were you disappointed with the mock results, or?
No, but I knew I could do better. So.
But most schools only do one set of mocks. Like our school is really good for that.
Yeah, definitely.
They don't give you a choice.
Yeah.
Like if you want to do well, you want to see a B or an A on that paper, you have to revise.
I think as a
7,
school
8,
we're
9.
really lucky though, because they do kind of force us to do it, even though how much we hate it. We kind of look back on it, it's like, yeah, if we didn't have that, then I think we would have struggled a lot more than we did. So yeah.
So one set of mocks you think is a better idea, basically?
No,
more sets of mocks.
If you have more than one set though, you don't get the feedback, you don't have the time between the second set of mocks, you don't have time to do anything about the gaps in your knowledge.
Yeah, but you do, because you have to revise.
Yeah, I mean, if you had one set of mocks, you fluked it and you did really well, you might slack off a little bit and be like, oh yeah, you know, I'm fine. Whereas two, I think if you fluke one and you fail the other, like you're fully like set on getting what you got before. You know?
Yeah, 3 is like a good number.
We had 3.
Yeah.
We had 3 sets.
Yeah, we had November, January,
And then English, maths, and March.
Did it take some of the fear out of doing the actual exams? It's like,
Yeah.
just another set of these again.
Yeah,
But I've done this
good,
before.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Probably
it
went
definitely.
the other way around. You made more fear because they're coming, so you know.
They're a reality check as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
See, for me, the fact that they were so ongoing helped just continue that loop of revision, not break it. Because I feel like if we just had one set of mocks, I would revise vigorously for those and then kind of slack. But because the mocks were so consistent, I revised consistently. But in terms of revising for my actual GCSEs, like, I would not advise anyone do this at all. My revision was very last minute for my actual GCSEs. I was very much a person who would just come home the day before and just read everything that I needed to know. Somehow it worked, but just don't do that. Like, don't, because even if you think it works for you, like, it takes a toll on your mental health. So use the mocks that you're given to, like, revise constantly.
So do you wish you developed some better habits in year 11? Did year 12 hit you pretty hard when you suddenly couldn't do that anymore?
I mean, it didn't really hit me, like, hard, because year 12 was still, year 13 is when you really feel it, but year 12 I just developed new revision habits, and now, like, I'm much better at planning my time around my revision.
So that probably brings me on to my next question. Who had a revision plan? An actual,
I
mapped
did.
out plan?
Yes.
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 No.
Okay, everything.
That's 5 out of 6. That's not bad. How did you build it, and how did you stick to it?
We had sessions, didn't we? I think I remember having mine as a session. I think it was an open evening, like a kind of year 11 revision night, and they gave us the revision tables, and my mum forced me to make one, and she was like, well, you've got to have, like, maths 5 times a week, English 5 times a week, science 5 times a week, and then do, like, your different, like, 2 or 3 subjects where we fill the gaps, and then have, like, one day off where you didn't do anything. So I think I had, like, a Thursday off or something, just, like, past the middle of the week. So I think that helps.
So with your maths, if we take that as
Yeah.
example, you've got 5 slots a week.
Yeah.
When you sat down to do your maths, what were you doing in that hour? Did you know which topic?
So because I used the tabs, I used to go through the reds to try and make them oranges or greens, and then by the time I kind of finished, I kind of got either oranges or greens, or mostly greens and oranges. But I used to give my phone into my mum and stick on the radio, because even if I want to listen to music, I won't be distracted by my phone. So I think that's a good thing to do if you were going to revise. If you want to listen to music, just stick on the radio or something. For background noise.
Very good advice.
Very good advice.
But I think with revision plans, a lot of people put in more hours where they're enjoying the subject rather than what they find difficult. But I think you should do it the other way around. Like, do the subjects you find harder more times a week than subjects you find easy, like the ones you like, because the ones you like, you'll probably be better at it anyway.
Yeah, I definitely didn't put physics down as many times as I wanted to, and people in here that probably know that I hated physics.
I hated English, and I loved maths, and the only subject I actually did a lot was maths, because I remember my teacher said that by the end of the year I finished all the past papers for maths, and for English I revised 3 days before my exam.
Did that work out for you, or?
I passed. And that's what I wanted, because I knew I didn't like it, so every time I was in class I was doing the work, but obviously not to my full potential, because that dislike, I didn't like it, so that just brought everything down for me.
You probably, you kind of need the motivation there to properly invest yourself in it, I guess.
I mean, it's hard to find motivation though, isn't it? It's hard to find where you can sit down and say, right, I'm going to do it. It's hard, and especially nowadays where we've got so much technology or anything around, it's hard to kind of sit down. But like what Aaliyah said, probably you think your family was so supportive and kind of helped you through everything. So I think that helped a lot as well. It's not just about the kid that's doing the GCSEs, it's about the whole family and like friends as well, because I couldn't have done it without my friends, because we were just going through all the poems like days and days before. So
quite a lot of group work as well.
Oh yeah, verbal, yeah.
So in terms of kind of motivating you to stick to your plan, what was the most useful thing in terms of?
I feel like a really good thing to, like, let yourself and make yourself stick to the plan is, like, allow yourself to have things that you give yourself if you complete a certain number of, like, hours or a certain topic. So if you have a subject plan for that day or a specific topic, if you've done, like, say 40 minutes and you know you want to have a 20-minute break, reward yourself if you've done something with anything that you like. So like it could be food, it could be an activity that you like doing, it could be like 20 minutes of Netflix, like whatever you enjoy doing, reward yourself with that, but don't get carried away with it. So it's helpful if you have your parents like keep check on you, and you could give your phone in to your parents. But if, as I say, not every family is that supportive, so if you find your parents are like working or they're not there, then you could always like download apps on your phone that lock your phone for a certain number of minutes or hours. But yeah, just make sure that you give yourself rewards.
Does anyone have their phone with them when they're revising?
The Flora app.
Oh yeah, it's like an app. Is it the one that grows the plants?
Those trees.
Yeah.
Or the longer you
So
leave
it tells
the
you
more
if you
forests.
killed it if you use your phone or something like that.
Yeah, so you can like
If you
choose a
got
certain
that.
amount of time. So I
Yeah.
usually do like 30 minutes, and then you do this world tour thing. It's gonna sound so nerdy, but yeah. And then you can actually plant real trees, so it's meant to be for the environment as well. And another thing you can actually do is you can put money on it. So if you break it, it takes it out of your bank account. Now, I've never done that, but it is a thing.
Good motivation.
Like £5, 30 minutes. If you don't complete it, then £5 gone.
I like it.
I know.
Does it still show notifications and everything as well then when you're on it?
It does, but like if you go off
Obviously.
it, but you can put on do not disturb or like.
Yeah.
Airplane mode. I mean, I don't really use apps like that, but I'll use my phone to like put on like an hour timer and just go on airplane mode and then just sit it there so I can check the time.
Yeah,
But like I don't get anything through, so I kind of just have to
You've got to be quite disciplined to do that, though. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I just do it, but like,
I mean,
I'm not trying to put myself on some kind of pedestal, but like, I understand some people it's harder, but like, yeah, I don't know, I don't really have the kind of need, especially if they're not like popping up. It's easy for me to just leave it.
I mean, like, how long did you say you were doing yours for? Half an hour, like
What?
breaks?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about now A level. I didn't do that for GCSE. I'd normally just turn my phone off. So yeah, this is more something that's developed since I've started my A levels.
I mean, I think you sound like a more disciplined bunch than the average teenager from the feedback we've had. Phones are a huge issue in terms of
They are, yeah.
revision and being distracted.
Still an
But
issue when you're an adult.
well, there's like a box I saw on Facebook or something where you like put anything in, so like cookies or like anything that will make you want to go and eat it, and it will actually lock the lid, so you cannot open it, you can't physically break it as well. So like if you put like an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, like whatever you put in, you cannot have it until that's finished. So try and invest in that if you're really, really, really like tempted.
Like a surrogate parent.
Yeah, so just one more thing I was going to say about staying motivated is that I'd really recommend, like Anastasia will understand this because we both do lots of dance, keeping your extracurricular activities, because then you have, so I kept going to all my dance lessons, probably apart from the ones of like the day before I actually had the exam, because I didn't want to stress myself out that night. Because then, so I have dance 5 till 7, I know that after school, like 4 till, like 3:30 till 4:30, I have to revise, I haven't got a choice. And then I go and do something that's like escape from revision. And so yeah, I feel like not everyone does extracurricular activities, but if you do, then keep them going, don't quit.
Exercise especially as well.
Yeah,
really, I'd
so
say.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
think exercise is a really good kind of way to get out of that.
That's a mistake I made. I quit my football and I really, really regret it. Like, so.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea. Just keep. I mean, it's a long evening you've got between the end of school and going to bed. You don't have to stop doing the things you enjoy doing. You can do
Yeah.
both the revision and the.
And it's so
the sports,
important
whatever.
to keep a healthy mind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Because most of our listeners are parents, although by this point they've probably gone, this is more for my child, and got them listening instead. But what was the most helpful thing that your parents did that supported you while you were revising, and still do, I guess, with your A levels?
I'd say maybe just give you space, like whilst you're like stressed out, or like, I don't know, people might have like chores inside the house or something. Like if you've got to like walk your dog for like half an hour and you're kind of just wanting to get revision out of the way, sometimes my parents will just be like, okay, we'll give you like the day off and you can just revise and put your heart into that, rather than kind of nagging you to do certain things, because it just kind of like builds up a bit of stress, and then maybe like a bit of like an argument, I don't know, that can kind of evolve from that though. I know that sometimes that's happened with me. So it's nice that sometimes, well, my parents were quite supportive and just been like, okay, yeah, he's like stressed from exams, we'll just leave him for a bit and chill.
Yeah, and also my parents always reminded me that like they'd be proud of me no matter what, and I know that's something that I guess you wouldn't really, because you do that anyway, and hopefully most parents do that, but always saying like it doesn't matter what grade you get as long as you tried your hardest, like we're still going to be proud of you. So even if like if a 4 in English, like as long as you passed, or like as long as that's the best you could have done, you couldn't have done any better, then they'll still be proud. And I think reminding your children that like you know what they do is still good to them, then yeah, it's important.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And also, like, because my parents, they've got quite a packed work schedule, so they weren't able to, like, necessarily go through flashcards with me or, like, help me with my revision and stuff. But even if you're, like, really, really busy, you could do tiny little things that would mean a lot to your child when they're revising. So, like, if, as Rory said, if you've got, like, chores that your child always does, even if it's like a small thing, just like help them out with that, do it for them, or just get them to do it later when they've got some free time. Even like bringing them up a sandwich into their room, like things that are really easy, but it would mean a lot to us.
Mum made me a cup of tea and brought
Exactly.
brought me up 2 cookies like every like half an hour, because she knew that I always did 25 minutes and a 5-minute break, so I'll go to the loo or just stretch my legs, so she always knew like at that half an hour point, that's when I would like a cup of tea. And I'm like a little rabbit, and like I just grab the tea and I'll walk back in and like just leave me alone, and then I give her back my cup and then I go, can I have another one please? And she just knew that was like my little 5-minute stress-free kind of moment. So
no wonder you toilet every half an hour. Honestly,
with my parents, like it was my parents and my little sister actually. She's 4 years younger than me, but she still like helped like tested me on flashcards and everything. And they would like switch up the order so I couldn't like memorise the answers and stuff. And then if I was stressed, they just like tell me jokes to make me laugh, which really helped.
That's so
so nice.
Well.
We're looking at Erie for something spectacular. He just shakes his head.
I mean, I guess like Rory said, yes, they sometimes gave me space and like told me, no, that's fine, you can do this later, and they basically just allowed me to revise as much as I could, and that was pretty much all. I can't really remember what really happened at that time, so it's all in the past now for me.
Right, best piece of advice a teacher gave you? They're all looking blank, that's not good.
Never give up.
Cliche. It's alright, that's good.
Yeah, I think probably I'll say English now. I think it was my teacher that always told me to try and not actually give up. I think I told her many times that I don't really like the subject and I don't enjoy it, but she always was like, no, you can do it, it's fine, just revise, do this, and eventually I made it and I actually passed. When at the beginning I thought I wasn't going to pass because I didn't like it, I wasn't doing so well, and I was afraid I wasn't going to pass it, but she always pushed me hard. I always went to her and asked her for like helping for a specific question, and she always used to help me, and I think that's why I could pass the GCSE for it.
I feel like it wasn't really like a quote per se, but it was like Mr. Gillespie basically. He was really motivational and like really had like this insane confidence in everyone. And it was the best thing. It was like he kind of, I don't know, you just felt like you could definitely do it because of like how much kind of energy he was pouring into you. And he like really knew our class really well, and I think that really helped too, because he like knew us personally, knew kind of like how we worked. So if we were kind of like having an off day or something, he'd just be like, you know, you could actually do this, like don't worry, because you've got the ability for this kind of thing.
And he always told us how proud of us he was.
Yeah.
Like, he was so lovely.
He wrote us like personalised messages.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like caring and like the sheer confidence he had in people that I think really helped me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And he believed we could do it, so that made us believe we could do it. Like he really believed in us. Yeah.
I mean, normally we wouldn't mention teacher names, but I think we'll have to leave that one in. There's so much
Sorry.
love for this man.
I think like with mine, I always used to doubt myself a lot. So my teacher said if you don't believe that you can't do it, you won't be able to do it. So start believing you can, because then you'll be able to do it. I think that's really helped me, because especially like with my English, I wasn't really that confident, and then suddenly I passed with flying colours. It was just like, you know, I believe that at that time I could do it. And like walking in, I was talking to Rachel actually. I was like, oh my god, I bet if this comes up, I could do it. And that poem came up, and it was like the best thing ever. It's like I believe I could do it, and I could do it. So that really helped me there. So yeah.
I think also my my history teacher, she told me, like, remember, Alita, you need to take breaks. Like reminding that it's not always about the work, it's about taking breaks as well. So that's an important piece of advice that I guess doesn't always get said.
Yeah, can I just ask actually, in terms of February half term onwards, how much revision per evening did you do?
I think before, mine was definitely just like one or 1.5 hours. Suddenly, like after Christmas and after Feb, it was like 3, 4.
3 or 4 per evening?
Yeah, like I used to go home like straight after school, so it'd be about 3:30, and I used to go all the way to about like 5, 5:30, have dinner and come back and then do it again, and then have a shower and go to bed.
What about weekends? Was that more, or do you have weekends off?
No, it was more like another day at school.
Yeah, it was like 6 hours.
Definitely, yeah.
I feel like
Towards the end, towards the,
Yeah.
when it was actually getting there, I'd definitely say that. But like,
not 4 hours a night in
don't
the
know.
week. Maybe I should have dance and stuff.
I didn't really time it as much. I probably should have, but like, I don't know. I just felt like I kind of go home. Yeah, it's sort of like I had a routine. I just generally revise. I know it sounds a bit like wishy-washy, not knowing the exact like timings, but I didn't generally just like go home, maybe play a bit of Xbox, like chill out, and then revise, and generally just kind of mix it up and continually. As long as I was revising most of the night, I was okay with it and covering most subjects.
Yeah.
Or like the
I think
subject
it's
I haven't
important to know like how far you can go though, because especially like Rory obviously knew how far he can go. Like he can chill out for a bit and then go for it. I didn't know, because I didn't have a good revision technique, because I didn't remember anything. So I was just full on going through all my tabs. But that's how I learned. That's how I did it at that point. So I think it's different for everyone. So I think that's important to say, because maybe you can't get off of Xbox or PlayStation or off your phone, and then you realise that that's all of the night gone, and you're like, well, I didn't do anything then. So yeah.
And also I think that it's wrong to have like that complete distinction between, so revising is like a job, is like a chore, and then you've got your free time which you like to do, so like it can be Xbox or extracurricular clubs or whatever. But I feel like that division kind of puts you in a bad mindset, because you punish yourself if you don't do enough revision to your standards. So I feel like if there is anything that you enjoy that could also be classed as revision, definitely do that in your spare time. So obviously do hardcore revision. That can feel a bit of a chore sometimes, but you know that you have to do it. But then at the same time, if there is anything that you enjoy doing for revision, for example, I really enjoy reading history books because I'm a nerd, but just if you enjoy any particular book or even documentaries that you like that are relevant to your course, just do that as part of your revision as well.
That's good advice. You're
So
not good at this.
Hey.
Question here says, the biggest regret that you've got from Key Stage 4?
Like, if you could do something differently, would there be anything you'd go back and change?
Actually revise for all the subjects. All the subjects properly, not only focus on your most favorite one, actually do the one that you actually hate, and because this way you can actually get a good grade overall, and rather than get really good grades on the subjects you like and then really bad grades on the subjects you don't like. So I'd probably, if I can go back, I'd probably revise for English as much as I revise for all my other subjects.
I would start like full-on revision earlier. Like I know I started earlier than other people, but like still I'd start like at the start of year 11 maybe, even like not even leaving it till November.
Mine's definitely like not having enough family time, because I always used to spend my time in my room, and my dad would never see me as he came home from work. He probably saw me at the dinner table, and that's it. I went to bed after I've said I finished, and I had a shower and I went to bed. So I think family time was quite important. That I kind of missed out. Kind of missed my brother kind of growing up a little bit. So yeah, I think like taking time out. So yeah.
Mine kind of links with the teacher advice because my biggest regret is putting too much pressure on myself, and a teacher told me don't put so much pressure on yourself and have such high expectations. Obviously it's okay to want to achieve something and to really reach for your goal. If you're trying to get, if the highest that you want to reach for is a 4, go for it. If it's a 9, that's fine, but just don't over pressurize yourself, because don't think that the world is going to end just because you don't get that 9 or that 8. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, you're still going to reach your goal. You're still going to get there. So just make sure that you just let yourself have it a bit easy.
That's for A-levels as well, definitely. Because like you can go and not get the exact grades that you want to do, like a teaching course or like a maths course. You might have to take an extra year, but you can still get to your goal that way. So yeah.
Would you go ahead?
Oh,
would you like to...
what's my biggest regret?
You don't
We're
have to
doing
have
like
one. You
a-
could just
Like,
go, do you know what, I'm
skip you if you
perfect.
want.
And
I don't
that's okay.
think so. Like,
That's allowed.
what Rachel said about starting hardcore revision like before November, I wouldn't do that, but I'd recommend doing notes, so you don't have, like, when you get to the end, you don't have all of them to do, because I did leave everything till the end. Not till like February, and then I started making them from the start again, but obviously you start your GCSEs in year 10, so that's a lot of notes to make. So yeah, after every lesson, it's so much easier said than done, because even with A-levels, I'm like, yes, after every lesson, I don't do that, but you should. At the end of every week, go through your notes and make the flashcards, the mind maps, whatever helps you. But my GCSE results day was like my proudest moment, so I don't think I regret that much.
That's it. What I would say as well, sorry. I would also say, obviously, Ratchness thing, like, you can always say you should revise like earlier. It's always like something people say, and I'm also one of them. But another thing I would say is maybe like, obviously in like year 11 you're still in with like loads of your friends and stuff in classes. I know that loads of people didn't take GCSEs as seriously as myself, and most of everyone else. Some people. But yeah, like certain people just like mess around, and then it's very easy just to be influenced by that and sort of do the same thing rather than concentrating. And I felt like I was a bit too influenced by my friends and how they didn't really care about it as much. I probably should have just been like, okay, I probably need to focus on my studies more. But it's hard to like just turn down your friends and say like, I'm not participating in whatever, and just focus. But I mean, I feel like I should have done more of that. Even though I did like obviously not pay attention too much, but like I still sort of joined in a little bit.
And if they're your friends, they should understand.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Exactly.
I think it's harder to know that in GCSE though. I think as A-level, it's easier because you could just say, well, I'm not coming out tonight because I've got to do revision. I think like when we were a bit like younger, we were kind of more influenced about like going out.
So more peer pressure in Key Stage 4.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings on to the next question actually. What's the main difference, do you think, between Key Stage 4 and Key Stage 5?
Definitely maturity, I feel.
Definitely.
So much harder.
Yeah. Do not regret it though.
No.
I do not regret it, even though I'm stressed most of the time. I do not regret it.
Are you?
You wouldn't guess. No, yeah, definitely take up as many opportunities as possible as well. Because me, Rory, and Rachel did EPQ as well. Did you do EPQ? No, and like as stressful as it was in the first year, it's like we got our results back today, and it was just like an amazing feeling to know that that's out of the way now.
Yeah.
And you got an extra thing. Even if you did forget to put it on your UCAS statement.
we couldn't even.
Oh no.
Put it
She
on.
forgot. I forgot to put it on.
Wow.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Make sure you check it before it gets sent. Definitely like the difference between GCSEs and A-levels are like your friends, I think, because you might have to change your friends group, but like you find out that everyone else is mature enough to kind of deal with it now. I think like I've been with the same group and we've all just been revising since, but we get like the little jokes in every now and again, but we are all kind of serious about it, and I think that's quite a nice feeling to have. So
Yeah, definitely. GCSEs are such a good learning
That's all right,
experience.
carry on.
Such a good learning experience because, like, not only you but everyone around you matures, and those you can have completely different people that you surround yourself by after GCSEs, and although it's like, you can think about it as sad, but it's a really good thing because GCSEs sort of picks out all the people that were not mature enough or you don't need to surround yourself by. And you know at the end of GCSEs, when you go into A-levels, you know if you're surrounding yourself with the right people, because if you're telling them, for example now in year 13, if you're telling your friends that you need to revise, they'll understand. If you can like literally tell them anything and they will understand because they've been through that as well.
It's like the independency of the A-levels as well, I think is a big thing. Like you can't just like rely on teachers to push you and get you to do like certain things, like recap topics that maybe a week on. Like you have to actively seek out that yourself. You can't just have like unless you get like tutors and stuff, but again that's like really expensive, but like just a lot more like independency A-levels.
Yeah. Like a big thing is that you're studying subjects that you actually want to study. Like it does make a big difference. Like obviously you say in GCSE you work harder at the ones that you enjoy. Hopefully you enjoy all your A-level choices because you've chosen them. It's like getting through my GCSEs, my math GCSE for example, like I really don't like maths, but getting through it so I could do my A-levels and take the subjects that I wanted to is worth it. So just stick it out.
Yeah, like especially like when you're in GCSEs as well, you've got to kind of think about what you want to do in A-levels, because it's not just like if you love maths, you can't then say, oh, I'm going to focus on maths, because you might not get the English grades or the science grades to get into A-levels. So you kind of need to think of the whole picture to kind of
I think another like big difference is the opportunities you get in A-level.
I was going to say
like,
that.
EPQ is one that I agree with Charlotte, like definitely take it if you have the opportunity, but also like other things, the student council, like all of us here have been in or like are still in the student council. I think that's a big thing, especially to improve like confidence and stuff, getting ready for uni. I think the opportunities.
So what advice would you give to a year 11 student now? So we're recording this in sort of mid-January, which means they've still got plenty of time. If you had some year 11 students in front of you,
Revise.
Come on guys, you got this! Jump!
I like generally I would stick on a podcast and just listen to it, because you can't change it over, you can't skip to the next song or anything. Just listen to something that you know that you can listen to and not look at your phone or anything. If you were going to look at your phone and not lock it away, put on something that you know you cannot change. So don't put on Netflix, don't put on YouTube. Like, stick on a podcast, because you cannot literally change it. You have to listen to every little word that they say. So, yeah.
Also, like remember that you're not the only person going through this. There's hundreds and thousands of students your age going through the same thing. So as hard as it may seem, like you're not going to be significantly worse than everyone else in the country. So your own mind, you're doing great. You're doing great. You're doing fine.
And also, like, if at this stage your teacher is like telling you that, oh, I bet you can achieve this grade or that grade, and you're thinking in your mind, there is no way I'm going to get that at the end of my GCSEs, don't doubt yourself, because your teacher knows you, they've seen your work, and if you're taking it as like, not a criticism, but if you're taking it as if, oh, now they want me to work twice as hard to get this grade, don't take it as a criticism, take it as a praise, take it as a thing that shows you that they believe in you, and like as motivation to work harder. But obviously don't overwork yourself just to get that grade, because I promise you, even if you don't get the grades that your teacher told you or hoped you would get, they're not going to be disappointed in you. You're not going to be any less of a student, or like literally no one is going to be mad at you for it. You'll still get where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Alternatively, if your grade, like target grade, is so much lower than what you think you can achieve, like don't listen to it. Like literally, like in English, we were all, like there was a lot of like, I don't know, I think our teacher was extra harsh on us, so I think in the end it was quite a good thing, but like we were all kind of expecting maybe 6s or 7s, and a lot of us pulled out like really good grades because of it. So like even if like you think what the teacher's saying is like sort of accurate, don't believe that. Like just try as hard as you can, and you'll definitely surpass.
Prove them wrong.
Yeah,
and
surpass
also,
it.
you're not defined by a number.
Yeah.
No.
Like, that's a massive thing.
That's
You're
like,
not
you've
though. Like I was like, oh, nines. That was such a big thing, because we were the first year to have a full set of 1 to 9. I was like, nines. Doesn't make me better than you just because I got a 9 and you didn't. Like, it does not define you.
Thank you very much for being up with us. If you'd like to know more about how you can support your child through their GCSEs, then head over to parentguidetogcse.com. See you next time.